Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and today I got a little interesting sort of a real video to make with you guys about the magical world of sleep paralysis. Now, it's interesting enough that when I read comments and I read subreddits and things like that, you guys like to point out the fact that I have terrible deep dark circles. And the realistic part about it is, yeah, I do. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that, I kind of always have had dark circles. But the biggest reality of it is I'm just fucking terrified of sleeping, ladies and gentlemen. I really am, and I'll completely admit that. Now, for those of you who don't know what sleep paralysis is, it's actually a pretty rare thing to have all the time. It's a pretty rare condition. It's a pretty rare effect. And a lot of people will have it a few times here and there. And unfortunately with me, I tend to have it almost every other fucking night. I tend to have it a lot more. At this point, it's become an almost nightly affair. And the reality is have I gotten checked for it? Absolutely. I've tried my best to see my problems and see why it happens. And for a lot of people, it's different. It's very simple as not getting enough sleep. It could be a lot of other things, but the reality is it's something that hasn't exactly been pinpointed to the best of its ability. Now, because of how scary the actual act of sleep paralysis is, I actually hate going to sleep because of it. And let me explain what it is. So think of it like this. You're half awake is what is the best way I can describe it. So in reality, you're completely conscious and lucid of the things that are going around you. You understand. And the weirdest part about it is you start to move your body parts, but you absolutely can't. You can kind of nudge a little bit. So allow me to explain perfectly well. When you have sleep paralysis, or when I do, if I try to move my neck, I feel like I can only move it just a slight millimeter to the left, right, here. Like I can basically try to nudge it, but it's not moving further than that. In fact, if anything, complete body loss has occurred. Now, the reason why it's called sleep paralysis is because of the scariest shit about it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is when your mind is still dreaming. So let me explain this. As a person who's always really had night terrors and nightmares, I've had more of that than I've actually had dreams. Like it's scary. But the reality is when you have a lot of night terrors and stuff, and your brain is that active, combine it with the fact that you're conscious through it, and you can kind of put both of them between each other. Now, sleep paralysis for me is one thing where I've had several experiences come together that I've sort of had as repeats, I guess. I'll put that as bluntly as possible. One of the things is people like to call it is the hag, which effectively basically means that you have this weird woman, witch type figure or witch type effect going on in your head during sleep paralysis. And the best way to describe it is whenever I'm sort of lying on my belly or in any situation like that, I will have my eyes slightly open. And in the state of sleep paralysis, the scariest thing is that it's almost a place where your vision is fuzzy. It's kind of like you're in this weird CCTV phase of your eyesight, and everything is fuzzy, and the sound around you has absolutely diminished to nothing. It almost is like your senses have heightened to a point that they've never been when you're actively awake. So the whole hag situation for me at least is whenever I'm lying down, I'll often feel scratching at the back of my neck, and to the point where it almost will feel like at any point somebody will just grab my neck and completely snap it to the point where I'm gone. So yeah, it's not only that being a scary feeling, but the fact that the sound around you has died out and you can hear whispers. Sometimes you'll hear something a little louder than that, but it's mostly whispers, like that weird whisper that's absolutely quiet, but also audible at the same time, if that makes any sense. And it's completely freaky. And the fact that it happens around you, you notice a person, you feel that the person's walking around you, whoever is there, just having complete control over you and your body and almost your life in that situation. At least that's what it feels like. And going to sleep like that, experiencing that, I mean, screw that. I'd rather stay awake is what I do. Sometimes this happens in the morning, a little less than expected, but that's kind of where I am with sleeping patterns. Now, could I theoretically just dope myself all the time with sleep medications? For sure I could, but I really don't want to develop any form of dependency on that. The last time I did, I was a complete lifeless shell of a person, and I really don't want that again. I'd rather have terrible sleeping patterns than be a fucking walking zombie, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I figured I might as well share things like sleep paralysis with a lot of you guys because it is something that is really rare, and I haven't had a lot of people to sit down and talk about it with. Like, I don't have a support group for it or anything, and I just sort of, cope with it the best way that I can. So if I ever look like I'm super dead tired or I need sleep, that's literally the only reason, is that I'm actually deathly afraid of going to sleep. Like, I'm not a person that gets scared of a lot of things, but when you don't have control over your body and your mind is in its dream state, combine those two together and it is one of the scariest feelings life will ever have. And for a lot of people, they have different sort of tics that happen when they go through sleep paralysis episodes. For me, it's literally just somebody walking around scratching the back of my neck. It's a scary feeling. For some people, it can be an entirely different hallucination. It can be an entirely different dream-like scenario. Some people can have just your average sleep paralysis episode where they're just laying there and they can't move anything. Now, there are some solutions to it. One of the biggest things is moving your toes. If you can move your toes in a circular manner, that supposedly does help you, but honestly, when you're in a stage like that, you're not lucid enough to really be doing that. The first thing anybody really does is they try to move like their neck. You're not even trying to move your fingers and toes as much as you can. It's when you get to that stage when you can wake up, it happens, but it is a very, very scary thing to get through. Usually if I have it during, like a nap in the morning or the afternoon when the sun's up, I don't have a bad feeling. Like, there's no weird thing about it. It's even better if there's somebody nearby in the room, because usually they'll try and wake you up or there'll be a focal point and you'll get up in some way. But when you're all alone at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, I know it's a stupid little 3 a.m. challenge memes, but regardless, when you're in that time period by yourself, which is where I am, then it's not something you want to go through, is what I like to come at with. And of course, the reason I'm making this video is kind of like to share with you guys what I kind of go through on a night by night basis. It's fucked up. It really is. And I certainly don't enjoy it, but it's one of those things where I feel like it'd be interesting to share with you all. And knowing that we have a pretty big team, I kind of would like to hope that, well, not really. I would like to know if there's anybody else out here that does suffer from a chronic case of having constant sleep paralysis, because it's not something that's fun. And fuck, I just wish I could kind of share I don't want to share the experiences like I want them to have it, but I'd rather, find somebody or, kind of like talk to someone about having episodes like this, if that makes any sense. But ladies and gentlemen, this is just me making a little video to share with you guys why I have some really bad, raccoon eyes at this point, ladies and gentlemen. But I'll get better, of course, with time. I have all of you lovely guys and gals, sort of to meme around and play video games with. So, ladies and gentlemen, just sort of sharing out, something that a person goes through. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it, I am out.